Hello and welcome to this week's VAR on Air segment. My name's Peter Vu.
Hi, I'm Gina Wynn, and I will also be co-hosting this segment.
This segment is going to be different from the ones that we've seen in the past. Unfortunately, as some of you may have heard, on August 24th, VAR as well as other organizations were set to have a candidate forum with Santa Clara County District 2 Board of Supervisors candidates and the 16th Congressional District seat of California candidates. However, it was canceled.
So today, in order to not put all of those efforts to waste, we have organized a digital pre-recorded forum with Evan Lowe and Sam Liccardo, candidates for the 16th Congressional District seat of California. And for viewers who don't know, the 16th District is located in the South Bay, Mid-Peninsula, and coastal San Mateo County. Okay, without further ado, could you please both introduce yourselves, your platform, and share your motivations and qualifications to represent California Congressional District 16?
Greetings and hello to the Vietnamese American Roundtable. Thank you very much for the opportunity and to allow me to introduce myself. My name is Evan Lowe, and I'm running for Congress to represent our area here in Silicon Valley and San Mateo counties. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure to meet, I served on the City Council and as mayor for the city of Campbell and as former mayor. And in those 8 years, I focused on helping to ensure that we supported our local small business and our local thriving economy. We all know that small businesses are the backbones of our society, and helping to support so many was a critical priority that I had at the local level. Now at the state level, I am concluding my 10th year in the California State Legislature, and in that capacity, I have authored legislation to make Lunar New Year an official state holiday. And in fact, California became the first state in recognizing Lunar New Year as an official state holiday, which, by the way, other states now have followed suit. In that same capacity as a state legislator, I have prioritized keeping our community safe through public safety, strengthening laws on hate crimes, helping to make sure that we acknowledge and address the importance of living safe in our communities. And because of that fact, the California Police Chiefs Association named me as Legislator of the Year, as well as receiving the recognition from the California Police Chiefs Association and Officers Association. Because of that engagement, I take great pride in prioritizing public safety as a key tenet, and I'll continue to do so. I've also authored legislation to make sure that we, as the state of California, recognize the South Vietnamese freedom flag as the official flag, the importance of seeing individuals and reflecting the importance and the commitment of democracy. That is key in the state of California, and I'll continue that in Congress. And as I head now to the federal level, having the experience from local and from state, now I head to Congress to be able to be in a capacity at a national level and an international level in making sure that our community is seen and heard. I've authored legislation on language access, and I'll do the same thing in Congress, making sure that our federally accessible resources are also translated and accessible in real time directly towards our Vietnamese community so that no one is left behind. I'm excited about this opportunity to serve, and it'd be a privilege to be able to work for you.
Xin chào quý vị. Tôi là Sam Liccardo. It has been my great honor to serve our community, including our Vietnamese American community, as mayor of the city of San Jose for 2 terms. Before that, I was a criminal prosecutor in our district attorney's office, prosecuting cases of, for example, sexual assault here in the county of Santa Clara. And throughout this time, it's been my great honor to serve the most incredible community, our Vietnamese American community, which is, of course, the largest ethnically Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam of any city in the world. That has been a great asset to our city. And of course, we have worked together, passing many resolutions, more than any other city, supporting our Vietnamese American community, expanding services at our Vietnamese American Community Center with the city, and many other efforts working together. In Congress, I want to work with our community, for example, to tackle our housing crisis, which our Congress is not paying attention to right now, tackling the very high cost of living that so many families are struggling with, to be able to pay their utility bills, child care, food and groceries. Congress is not addressing these issues. I need Congress to focus on expanding educational opportunity for our youth, to ensure that all of our kids have a pathway to college financially, and protecting Social Security and Medicare. In so many ways, our Congress is not focused on the issues that matter most to our community and the communities throughout the country. I'm endeavoring to do to change that as mayor and, of course, as member of Congress. Thank you.
All right. So my next question is, what specific immigration policies do you guys support, and will you prioritize to protect the rights of immigrants and refugees and ensure fair and efficient immigration processes for those seeking immigration relief, including family reunification, asylum, and humanitarian cases?
I'm so proud that we are such a diverse community, particularly our Vietnamese American community, and how much our immigrant community has enriched our city culturally, economically, in so many ways. That is why, as mayor of the city of San Jose, we flew the Vietnamese Freedom Heritage flag on so many occasions because we have recognized it for nearly 2 decades. Why we supported so many resolutions in support of the Vietnamese American community while I was mayor. And of course, why I opened an Office of Immigrant Affairs while I was mayor to ensure that we could protect DACA recipients and all the many immigrants in our community who deserve a pathway to legal status and to citizenship. And it's why I lobbied on Capitol Hill for immigration reform many times as mayor in partnership with many others in the community. And in Congress, I will be pushing hard to ensure that we provide a wider path for more of our residents to become citizens and to get legal status, including family reunification, which is so critically important. We can have a safe and secure border at the same time that we have more immigration, and we have a clear pathway to citizenship for people who have been here for many, many years, toiling, building our community, building their families and lives. We want to ensure that folks who are here have legal status and are citizens.
I really appreciate the second question, which is that of addressing immigration reform and asylum seekers, recognizing basic humanity. And as someone who potentially could be perceived as a perpetual foreigner, this is not a unique experience to me and for so many others. And it's imperative that we as a local community here in the Silicon Valley region and the Bay Area, and as the state of California, and as the United States, we recognize the basic humanity of each and every individual and making sure that they attain the California and American dream just like so many. So in this capacity as a state legislator, I have authored and supported legislation in helping to make sure that we reflect those values in our beautiful state, and specifically making sure that we address the issue of asylum seekers, creating opportunities for those who are undocumented. And in fact, legislative proposals that I have supported, making sure that we have public access for individuals regardless of immigration status, access to health care, opportunities for housing vouchers, opportunities to access public services, including driver's licenses, making sure that there's access to education. All of these issues are the key tenets in making sure that we reflect those values as a state and as a nation. Now, I've done that. I'm the only candidate who already has that experience at the state level, and I'll continue to do that, making sure that we have the focus on family reunification, to make sure that no families are torn apart, making sure that we get the type of federal funding that supports some of the existing programs that we've already done in the state of California. That's why I'm so excited about this opportunity to be able to serve, but also to bring that sense of deep empathy and grace, something that is reflected in our California Values Act, something that we've done here at the state of California already, but to bring that to Congress and amplify that. That's exactly what I will do in Congress, and reflecting that public services should go directly to a wide variety of different individuals. And by the way, we also need to change the rhetoric and the narrative, the demonization that these are others. Let's put the bridges up. Now that we are here, let's put the bridges up. But we all know from that experience, and this is not just rhetoric, it's very personal to me. Even my grandfather, who came to this country through Angel Island, and that similar type of experience, and learning the challenges and the struggles. And while I reflect on my own family history, I want to make sure that we make it easier for those seeking the opportunities to care for their loved ones and their families with deep empathy and grace. And that's what I'll do for Congress and reflecting those values.
Thank you so much for that. Our next question for you guys is, what is your approach to ensuring that federal funding and public health initiatives will not only reach and support Vietnamese American community members, but are also culturally and linguistically appropriate?
Well, this third question is about making sure that there are culturally appropriate and language access focused approach to government and public services. That's my key core value of what I've done at the local level as well as at the state level. And in fact, I've authored and passed legislation on language access to voting, helping to ensure that these are translated materials and exercising our given rights to vote. That, of course, is a key core foundation that should be applied to a wide variety of different government services. That's why I also truly believe that the candidacy does matter. In other words, you cannot be what you cannot see, and making sure that we reflect the diversity of our great community as well. My brother is a police officer, and he served in the city of San Jose, currently serves in the city of San Jose. And many a times, he would be deployed into certain communities in which they know that they are reflective of these communities, that community members, Asian Americans, may feel more comfortable to report issues like domestic violence, or understanding this question, the fundamentals of the question, which are some of the unique cultural challenges with respect to, let's say, public safety, that there may be a fear if someone is undocumented or if Vietnamese is only spoken, and a fear of not calling 911 or fear of wages being garnished. We would talk about all of the publicly accessible harms that could exist and how to make sure that we're tackling those in real time. But that can only happen when there is the prioritization of making sure that we're acknowledging our diverse communities. The underserved is very important. And of course, as a proud Democrat, those are my key democratic values, which, by the way, I am the only candidate in this race endorsed by the California Democratic Party, because I will absolutely prioritize the underserved in our communities as well. So this is something that very much is an area that I have done at the state level and at the federal level. I think that we should also continue those type of priorities. Health initiatives, federal initiatives in accessing Social Security. Oftentimes there's a challenge when you call a 1-800 number and a government, it seems to be inaccessible and can be daunting at times. Oftentimes we'll find a family member who may speak English, but it is imperative, and that's the priority that I lived. It's an experience that I've done in the state capitol, and that's exactly what I'll do in Congress.
What we know from recent studies in our Santa Clara County is that our Vietnamese American community suffers disproportionately from diseases like diabetes and hepatitis. So we need to focus resources where those needs are. But we need the resources to serve our community in a way that is culturally appropriate. We need to rely on trusted community partners so that the community will recognize and accept the care, particularly preventative care, that's so important to our elders, and ensure that it is delivered in a way that it is understood, so we can overcome the linguistic barriers when we're serving with community partners who obviously speak Vietnamese. That's why it's critical for federal support to be focused in ways that is trusted in the community. We learned these lessons through the pandemic, and I'm proud that while I was serving as mayor of the city of San Jose, we had the highest vaccination rate of any major city in the United States because we understood how to work in partnership with the county and many nonprofit organizations where we had Vietnamese speakers who understood the community and the community trusted. That has to be the model going forward.
Thank you for that. The next question is, in your view, what is the most significant policy issue to impact the Vietnamese American community, and how will you plan to ensure that Vietnamese American community members have a voice and are represented in the federal decision-making process?
The most important issue that I'll be grappling with in Congress and is the most pressing concern as I'm knocking on doors at every doorstep and every community meeting is the very high cost of living. The cost of housing, high utility bills, grocery costs, medical bills, all the ways in which our families are getting squeezed. And I know this is a big concern in the Vietnamese American community, in particular because I'm hearing it as I'm engaging with trusted partners in the Vietnamese American community. In Congress, I will be listening to nonprofit organizations that have their ear to the community's voice, voice to ensure that I am hearing clearly what the needs are and how we can best address them. I've set forth very specific policy ideas about how we can tackle housing affordability, high utility bills, medical bills, high grocery costs, and those are all online on my website, samliccardo.com. I have a booklet that is free to download with very specific policy ideas. For example, how we can ensure there's more competition in the grocery market so we don't have such price escalation in grocery bills. How we can better support with federal finance improvements for apartment owners and homeowners and small business owners to reduce their utility bills. These ideas are laid out because you deserve to know how I am going to tackle these problems before you vote.
The question is, what are some of the policies that are most important to the Vietnamese American community? And I think, of course, it's important to recognize that no community is monolithic by any means, but allowing me an opportunity to share some of these observations. And as I referenced earlier in this conversation, I actually serve as chair of the California Asian Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus. And in that capacity, I've traveled throughout the entire state, listening to many different communities within our wider Asian American community, from the Hmong community to Laotians to Thai, Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese, and everything in between. And of course, there are unique differences, but there are many similarities. And what I've experienced and understood, not only just that statewide approach, but also having great conversations with local community leaders, whether or not it would be with VABank and the Vietnamese Bar Association, or whether or not it's in local communities over here in Little Saigon in our beautiful district in San Jose, and talking to small business owners during various celebrations or during the Tet Festival, and visiting with small business owners at Grand Century Mall and many other places. This is an important experience to best understand. And we must work that much harder, especially as a public official, which is to say that it takes an intentionality. And the commitment that I make is, number one, to best reflect those issues. How do we help prioritize issues that I've heard? Prioritizing public safety, helping to strengthen opportunities for small business economic development, and also our value of education. How do we strengthen access to education? Public safety, small business, and economic development and education. Those are some of the key core principles and values that I've understood to be of significant importance as I listened and learned. While at the same time, I'm also dedicated to listening and learning more. And what I commit to being to do in Congress is exactly what I've done at the state level, which is to host community roundtables, to listen and learn, to be proactive, intentional about understanding what the issues are and how to help uplift members of the community. I also have experience and will continue to do that in Congress by identifying community leaders and finding opportunities for appointments to boards and or commissions, and making sure that those voices, those exact voices, are reflected in local city, municipal, in regional and state and federal, to make sure that there's representation on the UC Board of Regents, for example, the CSU Board of Trustees, and federal appointments, and those voices are equally heard. We need to see more Vietnamese Americans and Vietnamese American women on the bench, on the courts, as judges, not just as translators or court reporters, but as judges themselves. And that's why I'm so proud to build off the experience, to be able to work with, in partnership with the community, to help uplift for not just an older generation, but for the younger generations as well. The interconnectivity is so critical, and I'm excited to do that in Congress.
In light of California's severe housing affordability crisis, what specific measures do you advocate for to increase the supply of affordable housing in the state, and how do you plan to balance development with environmental and community concerns?
Well, this issue of the affordability crisis is very personal to me. I am 41 years old, and I too, born and raised in San Jose, struggled to live in the community that I hope to represent. But this is not a unique experience to me, unfortunately. This is a lived experience for so many living in these communities, which is why it is imperative that we're tackling this issue. I've done that at the state level, helping to ensure that we brought through housing bond development billions of dollars directly towards local communities to continually fund and help support the development of affordable housing, workforce housing, and also housing for those that are unsheltered. But it's not just the state throwing money at the problem or the federal government throwing money at the problem, but it's also partnership with our local communities to plan for the type of growth, because that's part of the challenge that exists, and we're not seeing the type of development to acknowledge and address the policy of supply and demand. We don't see the type of numbers of built units, which will require a wide variety of approaches from the local, state, and federal. That's why I'm deeply committed in bringing this experience to Congress. Understanding the struggles of everyday Californians and everyday Americans, I want to partner with the Housing and Urban Development to make sure that we're getting resources directly to our communities. I want to partner with Senator Alex Padilla, who has a proposal for a Housing for All plan, a comprehensive approach in helping to spur the type of growth that we're needing specifically in the state of California. All of these efforts are important, and I'm deeply committed to doing so.
We have a very severe housing affordability crisis in San Jose and throughout the Bay Area, but it's not just here. It's every major metro in the country is grappling with high housing costs. I set forth very specific ideas on my website in a booklet that's free to download that talks about how we can get Congress moving to help us address the housing crisis. For example, using a financing tool called the New Markets Tax Credit that can help us transform the many millions of square feet of vacant office and retail to create new housing right in existing buildings in center cities that can open up a lot of affordability. So many of our teachers and nurses have a place to live, for example. How we can help with financing of ADUs or backyard homes that can help to expand housing options and also help homeowners trying to pay their mortgage. How we can do more to get the homeless are unhoused off the streets. For example, using prefabricated housing as we did in San Jose when I was mayor, and we were able to reduce street homelessness by 11% in 2022 because we built many of these quick build communities that moved more of the unhoused off the street and made our communities safer. There's more that we can do if we have a Congress that's leaning in on these problems. Please look at my website, samliccardo.com, for my very specific ideas. Thank you.
And do you guys have any final words for the community?
To the members of our Vietnamese American community, I have a very simple word. Gamun. Thank you. Thank you for being an incredibly important example to each one of us as Americans of the passion for which we all must have for freedom, for human rights. Thank you for what so many of our elders in the Vietnamese American community have endured and stood up for in your journey here to create a community that is in many ways the envy of the world. Thank you to great leaders like Thich Minh Thuy, who remind us that freedom is not free. Thank you to the many Vietnamese American leaders who are supporting me in this election, who continue to advise me about my next steps and what we should do as a country to tackle our big challenges. Educational leaders like Mary Hien Pollitt and Lun Nguyen and Brian Doe, and of course elected leaders from our city of San Jose, past and present, Tam Nguyen, Lun Diep, Bien Duan. I'm so grateful to have the support of so many members of our Vietnamese American community because this partnership is essential. It's important for Washington, D.C. to hear clearly the voices of our Vietnamese American community, and it's important for me to hear those voices and to be able to articulate what our community critically needs. As mayor of the city of San Jose, I was very proud that we were able to reduce homelessness by 11% in my last year in office, to be able to give my successor a $30 million budget surplus, to be able to provide a city to my successor that had the lowest homicide rate of any major city in the United States because of our work in collaboration with the community to reduce gang violence. There's so many ways in which we need to do more. I look forward to working with you to continue to do more. Gamun.
Well, to the Vietnamese American Roundtable, thank you for holding me accountable. Thank you for providing opportunities for our community to learn about public office holders and candidates for public office to make sure that we're delivering and prioritizing the needs of our community. Active citizenry is so important. And of course, in the Asian American community, politics is typically something that we run away from. But it's so important that we are engaged and we're active in delivering for our community as well. I was named the most prolific lawmaker in Sacramento by the Sacramento Bee in the state capitol because of the effectiveness, that I'm a workhorse, not a show horse. Out of 120 legislators, that's the distinction that was given to me. And I'll do the same thing in Congress, fighting for the underserved each and every day. Those are the values that I have as an individual. Those are the values that I will bring to Congress. And it would be an absolute privilege to be able to work for you and represent you in Congress.
Okay, with that, thank you, Evan. Thank you, Sam, for both of your responses to these questions. I'm sure that they're going to be super important resources for the Vietnamese American community and just the community in general. And yeah, have a great day.
Thank you all for tuning in into our Congressional